What's up, everybody?
It's
Wednesday.
Welcome to
Kane's Insight. You know what that means.
favorite day of the week, Kane's Insight podcast, powered by Anishar and Levine Accident Attorneys.
Pete, hop in. It's been a week, and I need to see those peepers. I
want
them in early. I want them in early. We should work through the
that's a premature
concert.
hop. That's a premature hop.
No, I don't like the blank space without it. And you got this handsome man. You're looking good, Pete. Repping the U.S. I love that. That's
we got
great.
A big one tomorrow night in the TD Garden, Mikey.
You're loving hockey again? You loving hockey again? It's great to see.
I haven't watched a minute of it, but I know you were out there last weekend.
I haven't watched a minute of it.
So
yeah,
it was a big weekend for you. You had NASCAR. So
yeah, I had NASCAR. I had the Four Nations. I was actually in the building in Montreal for that electric game, one of the greatest sporting events. I think I finally found something that supplanted 2017 Miami Notre Dame in terms of atmosphere and just a sheer experience. USA Canada in Montreal, with everything that was surrounding it, with the effort, the 3 fights in 9 seconds, the eventual US win, the banter from a bunch of proud Canadians, but you also have to keep in mind they're French Canadians, so they really don't like Canada either. It was all fun, and it was a terrific experience. And man, the NHL knocked it out of the park with the Four Nations. And juxtapose that, I know we were all locked in on Tyler Herro's 3-point win, right?
Oh,
it was all they were talking about.
Proud tradition going back to Glen Rice.
At Saint-Tropez in Montreal, that's all they were talking about. Tyler Herro, that's incredible. Big week for American whites, as it's been covered. So amazing stuff out of Montreal and the Four Nations. I'm really happy that we got Pete aboard. Pete, did you watch the highlights? What were you doing Saturday night? Were you watching NBA All-Star? Were you just cooking up dinner?
I went to the movies.
You went to the?
Yeah.
That is the most shocking reply out of all the possibilities.
I went to see what was it called?
Captain America.
Yeah,
you repped our boy Danny.
Yeah, with our boy Danny. Yep.
I went. Peas.
So that was the last 3 movies I've seen. What was it? Captain America,
Brave New World. Yeah.
Elvis,
the GOAT.
Okay, you saw Elvis?
I did.
Did you go with D Money?
No, I didn't. But it was upon his recommendation. And
the second half's better than the first.
And then Top Guns.
Top
Mavericks.
Gun. No, it's Top Gun Maverick. You're adding an S to both of those things. It's Top Gun Maverick.
Those are the last 3, and
wow.
2 of them were to support our buddy.
Yeah, 33.3% of the movies are not Danny Ramirez. But outside of that, like you are locked in on Danny Ramirez.
No, but Danny Ramirez was in that one. What are you talking about?
No. I'm saying, 66.6. I should have said it that way. 66.6% of the movies that you've seen recently are Danny
Scott
Ramirez.
Steiner math going on around here.
125%. When I'm in the ring.
That's what I was doing. I didn't even realize Tyler Herro had won it until Filete was going crazy in a gambling group chat that he won. That he said he takes the Heat guys in the 3-point contest every year. He said he took Capono back in the day.
Yeah. One of the best performances of all time. Capono was really ahead of his time. He'd probably be a $30 million a year player in today's NBA.
Yeah. I got really handsy. This is your show, D. I'm sorry.
Oh no, yeah, handsy. You were handsy.
Yeah, you just let me like we decided like, hey, let's do the intro together, and
you prematurely hopped in. Pete.
Sorry. I'm a sailfish. You know.
You did say it was a good week for American whites, but Dalton Connect did not play in a game because he's processing a trade.
Yeah.
Well, these NHL guys are beating the hell out of each other for the love, and this guy's not playing a game. He's not even good yet, because he's processing a trade. It's
I'm trying to find the humanity there with Dalton Connect, and the best I can rationalize is, look, he hasn't made his money yet. So but he's still it's not great optics. And I as someone that is tuned out of the NBA, mostly because of the Heat's approach for the last few years, don't get me wrong, but tethered to that is the general effort or lack thereof, the lack of care in the regular season. And you compare that to what you saw at the Four Nations, which is, look, man, the Florida Panthers are playing Saturday. Matthew Tkachuk is injured. He's playing on Thursday night. He's giving it his all. There's nothing but the love of country here. Yeah, there's some money in it to make these appearances, but the top line of those hockey players from those Four Nations, they're not getting a break here. And it was just great to see. Kevin Durant is going off on Twitter with, go watch hockey. It's more fun to complain about the NBA than actually watch it. I don't think he's being surly Kevin Durant there. I think he's being genuine. Like, he's offering advice. Like, go watch that. because I think you'd like it better if these things bother you, to which I say I have. Kevin, thank you very much. That's great advice. Other people should take it. Hockey is great because they don't take maintenance plans, scheduled off days. They don't really do that. And the effort is always there. It's a crazy violent sport. It's a difficult sport. And you got to just mesh with, like, even if you don't like hockey, and I know a lot of the people watching this probably don't like hockey. Hell, they don't like anything but the Miami Hurricanes, which have a pretty good hockey program. Not fully accredited, but you know what I mean.
Sports doesn't realize Kansas City Hockey Program. They got one.
They had national championship. Hey, sports, how's it going? I think anybody, especially when you wrap the flag in it, can get down with the effort that was displayed there. Because if you're watching anything athletic, you want to make sure that both teams are going for it. I don't feel that way when I watch the NBA. I don't feel that way when I watch basketball. Really, I do feel that when I watch hockey all the time.
And look, it's ironic you say that about Durant because the Team USA basketball documentary came out and those guys were going hard. That was great.
That was great.
So I don't know if there's a way to get the USA factor involved here, maybe a little bit.
Was Team USA this past Olympics? That was the most fun I've had watching basketball,
hands down,
in quite a while.
And you can see from the video, the documentary, they cared themselves. You know, so maybe we get some USA flavor. I mean, we got a Patriots list here, and I got to say, the USA hockey's on top. USA pitchers in the World Baseball Classic are on the bottom because they sold out our country and allowed Japan to take over America's pastime. You know, Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron, they're solidly on the Patriots list. So let's step up American pitchers. Look what's happening in hockey. WBC, this needs to come back home. It should not be in Japan. They're kicking our butts.
I'd be down for the WBC being like the Final Four of the WBC being the All-Star break. Do a Four Nations in baseball. It's hard to do it in basketball. Once you start trying to build out the rosters in basketball, it gets all wonky. Like, do I even have 12
USA,
good
Europe.
Canadians?
USA versus Europe.
Or North America.
USA versus Europe, and then Canada can. Canada I guess gets left out.
But well, I mean, look, under more utopian scenarios, maybe the U.S. and Canada. I don't really know.
They're not beef right now. You can't combine them.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess they're pretty good. You can't really just cut them out totally of the NBA one. But yeah, USA, Europe, you could do. I know Yugoslavia, all those countries kind of hate each other. But as far as like the Yugoslavia one, but they got some really good players. You got Jokic, you got Doncic, you got emerging superstar Niko Jovic as well. You got a squad.
Yeah, you got to be able to do it with non-NBA players too. If the NBA were to ever try something, here's the thing. Honestly, like they've shown in the past with the China controversy, like the NBA and the NBA PA, they do have common ground sometimes, and then they do see what the NFL saw when they had the Kaepernick stuff. Like, hey, politics does not help our sport. Also, the sport's a little boring. Let's change the rules. The NFL figured this out. The NBA has shown, and I know that their players' union is a lot more difficult. Pete, follow me along. Let me know when I'm rambling. But I'm probably rambling. But the NBA has shown that it can connect to its players on a business level when it came to China, of all things. We are well beyond critical mass when it comes to this sport and its watchability. The arrow is pointing down. It has long since been trending down. They have problems with the sport. The athletes have outgrown the court. Everyone's fallen in love with the three-point shot, not unlike baseball. Baseball, which is so rigid and tried to avoid for so long to change, realized the analytics kind of cracked the code. We have to change the game back up. Adam Silver was viewed as the most progressive, wonderful commissioner just 10 years ago. What foresight, integrating gambling. This guy, every commissioner should be this guy. Cut to 10 years later, he is lagging behind the likes of Gary Bettman. It is bad leadership right now in the NBA.
Listen, I would love to disagree with you, but I can't. I agree with every single thing you said. The analytics have cracked the code. They need to de-emphasize the three-pointer somehow, make it more meaningful. I don't know. They don't have half-court shots in this All-Star game. That's all my kids care about is seeing kids make half-court shots. I don't know what the hell they're doing. Like what the dunk contest, I mean, it's been won by a white guy three times and doesn't even play in the NBA.
For two of those 3 years, he hasn't been an NBA player. You could argue maybe the first time he wasn't an NBA player. It was, I think the entire show was 3 hours, 30 minutes, and there was 1 hour and 12 minutes devoted to actual basketball.
You know, it's like when a genre jumps to shark, like people stop like black people stopped listening to rock music when like Pat Boone was doing stuff, and you know what I mean? They're like, we're done with this. This is dunk contest has reached that point where it's corny. If you have a white guy doesn't play in the NBA winning it 3 times, it's past the point of cultural relevance. You got to do something else.
I know people tune into us primarily for wrestling and music at the end of the show, but I do have some Canes takes that we should start. And I feel Peter floating away, even though
no. I mean, listen. I can stick around for basketball talk. That's not gonna drive
You
me
want to
away.
crap on the NBA with us?
I don't really have much to add. It's I don't know if it's because like I used to be able to watch any game. It could have been the two worst teams.
Mhm.
Like I like to watch players, but like I don't know if it's because I have other sports that interest me. I don't know if it's just, like I feel like it might be similar for you, Mike. You have all the other stuff outside of the main sports that you're interested in as well. Like I don't know, there's more out there that you can get into.
I've coined it, or at least I think I coined it because I never heard it before, the term "fandwidth." And I think it's a legitimate thing. Once, the Panthers become more important and the Heat become less important, you decide I'm going to devote less of my time. And they've also made it a lot easier by putting it behind a new paywall that I will not pay for as long as Terry Rozier is still in town. So my embargo is still going. But
man, let me tell you something. When Juan Manuel says, "Hey, when are we talking Canes football?"
We're gonna talk Canes football.
When Juan is down to get into whatever, normally, we gotta get into the Canes
I felt you breathing down our neck. D-Money, you're the host of the show. Again, I feel bad because of how handsy I am. I came in revving today. So please, let's set the table for the Canes football folks.
Hold on. You King God's guy. He says, white folks are mad that a white guy won the dunk contest. This is your moment. Take pride in it. Look, if Eduardo Nahara was a dunk contest, I will be cheering.
I thought it was Nahara.
Nahara. You're right.
Yeah, it's not Nahara.
So that will be a moment there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what this. I would if it was like a player that plays, it's a different story. But we had Jordan and Dominique going at it in the dunk contest. It was not a G League exhibition. You had Dr. J. You don't think about Harold Miner when you think about the dunk contest. You think about Jordan. You think about Vince Carter.
I do think about Baby
Nate
Jordan.
Robinson. Even like a Nate
those were great
Robinson
moments.
Spud Webb. They're short.
Guys played in the league.
Yeah, but
They
even
played.
Nate
like
was
good players in the league.
Yeah, he was of a certain echelon and a certain tier that is just like, I am discovering players now through the dunk contest. And that's not the way it used to work. Like, oh man, this guy would kill it in the dunk contest. Fred Jones, he's got hops. Let's see what he can do. And he was close to a relative unknown. Now, I don't know anybody in this damn thing because I don't watch the league anymore because there's no effort there. So Adam Silver needs to find a way to connect to these players because it's going to affect their bottom line because it's less and less watchable.
On that note,
football.
Let's switch to a guy who was actually a basketball player first, then translated those skills to the football field, and he's going to be shaking Goodell's hand in the NFL draft. Talk about a good commissioner. Goodell's got that thing looking like Woodstock when it used to be the nerdiest thing in the world. So shout out to Goodell for that draft.
He's turned around. Goodell's done a good job.
Oh yeah, you got German people singing country roads. Like the whole thing is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you track back like 8 years ago, he was dealing with Ray Rice. The game was slowing down and boring. He was dealing with Kaepernick, and no one thought that he had the faculties to figure it out, and the guy did, and it's booming.
Yeah, his scandal navigation has gotten better. Aaron Hernandez killed somebody, and we kept on rolling. It was no big deal for the NFL. But switching gears to Cam Ward, he's a very honest guy. I interviewed him. My takeaway from Cam Ward, I thought he was a great dude, super honest and super smart. And it's just, he's one of those guys is like, you ask him a question, he is going to answer it without being political about it.
Pete, is he too honest?
I'll give my take at the end from the agent side of you, but I don't think a lot of this stuff, it won't even matter because he's still going to be, a top 2 to 3 pick. So that's my disclaimer before we really get into this, but I don't love the cameras being around him so much. That's my main thing. Yeah.
You never have. D-Money, his honesty though, it's not surgical. Cam Ward's got blunt force honesty.
It's like how he plays. He doesn't play surgical. He plays free. He plays free and honest, and he makes it happen.
I disagree. This is a guy that goes through all of his progressions. I do think he does things surgically. It's just a testament to his talent that he makes it look effortless in the pocket. And those are not my opinions. I kind of gathered that from watching, but I leaned on Mina Kimes' expertise. Mina and I were going back and forth over the weekend because she was doing her deep dive on Cam Ward. By the way, I think she's got Cam Ward third overall as the third best player available in this draft behind Abdul Carter, who I think is dynamite, and Travis Hunter as well.
Yep,
absolute
totally fair.
Unicorns. You can get into an argument as to, okay, those are the best players, but with number one, when you need a franchise-changing player, the impact position, usually quarterback. Cam Ward, you can debate whether or not he's number one. Maybe he's number 2 to Cleveland. That's an interesting spot. But I do want to talk about the honest Cam Ward because he did creak the door open to something that we had known covering the Miami Hurricanes. It was pretty obvious when you saw the Pop-Tart Bowl, who was there and who wasn't, and it probably allowed for some questions. So Cam Ward creaks the door open and he gives a quote saying, I felt like some guys didn't play in the bowl game that probably should have. I don't think he's talking about Sam Brown. Maybe he is, but it's pretty clear from what we know. This now gives us license to talk about what Xavier Restrepo did in the lead up to the Pop-Tart Bowl, which I genuinely think Xavier Restrepo is going to have regret about, because it would have been a great way to end an illustrious career. This guy, you can build the myth around him. Works hard, built himself up. What was he, a 3-star in high school? Builds himself up to be improbably Miami's all-time leading receiver. I won't say a bad word about Xavier Restrepo. Everyone's entitled to make a business decision. However, here's the but. When you got guys like Elijah Arroyo with an injury history with much better draft prospects, when you got a guy like Cam Ward, who at the time had number 1 draft pick buzz around him, committing to play what was initially just to be a quarter, ends up playing an entire first half without 3 of his 4 leading receivers against a top 5 pass defense in Iowa State. By the way, that first half kind of cemented him as QB1 on this draft board. When you got those guys going through it, and it's not just the game, folks. It's not just the risk of injury. Those are 2 weeks of your life that you could spend getting ready for the draft. Those are 2 weeks of your life that you can spend with your family. Cam Ward, no more eligibility, wanted the experience to go through that with his teammates, wanted to be there with his team, acted in concert with the NFL, his reps, and the coaching staff. It was agreed to. They needed to evaluate Emory Williams. And here's what I'm telling you with certainty. You better thank your lucky stars Cam Ward decided to go along with the plan of not playing the full game. Because if he played that full game, I'm telling you, almost certainly, I'm not saying Mario wouldn't have turned other places and kicked the tires on some other guys, but I am saying it is far more likely than it is today, most certainly, that Emory Williams is your QB1 headed into next season. We know what that staff was saying about Emory Williams, and you're saying, Mike, is their belief in Emory Williams, how much conviction can there possibly be if one bad half shook their convictions about this player? Here to tell you, it shook their convictions about this player, especially when you go from Cam Ward doing what he did in that first half to Emory displaying his limitations. So thank you, Cam Ward. I think part of what Cam Ward was doing there was this guy got vilified in the national media for actually playing when there was a guy like Xavier Restrepo that didn't just decide, I'm not going to play in this bowl game because of what it might do to my body, but I'm going to check out on the entire prep for it. These guys that I've been here with throughout my entire career, for those 2 weeks, an opportunity to win a bowl game and turn a narrative around, an opportunity to win 11 games here at the University of Miami, not going to do that. I felt some kind of way about it. Very clearly, Cam Ward felt some kind of way about it. But all in all, we should be thankful, not just for the experience that Cam Ward gave us, but his ability to lay out, do something that is not within his competitive spirit. If you put him on true serum, he would have played that entire game, but he did so for the good of the program. And now you have Carson Beck, D.
I'm not mad at either of them, really. I think I understand both of their perspectives. With Restrepo, this guy's a 5'10" Hispanic guy who runs a 4.5. If he tore his ACL, they wouldn't even let him go to the draft. They wouldn't even give him a ticket to attend as a fan if he got injured.
Fair enough.
So I understand totally why he didn't play.
Arroyo, though, like if he gets another knee injury.
Arroyo's a monster. He probably wanted to show that he's healthy. He had some incentive, but I think Arroyo's a beast, and his effort level on that interception for Virginia Tech, the fact that he was in there to the last play against Iowa State, it's a plus for Arroyo.
It's just my counterpoint to you, because if Arroyo adds yet another lower body injury, like he goes undrafted.
They're all unique, but that's also something he needed to prove. Whereas Restrepo, nothing he did in the game would have helped him. So
fair enough.
I understood why he didn't play, and I don't fault him. With Ward is basically in the same position as Daniels last year, right, from LSU. He had the best offense in the country. The defense stunk. The team did not go to the playoffs because of the defense. Daniels did not play in the bowl at all. Ward played half of the bowl and gave us 31 points and like a whole highlight reel. So he not only did he play, he gave us a ton. That should have been enough to win the game. And then, like he said, he thought it was going to be a total win-win. I'll look at his answer here. He said, I just think we all got what we needed out of it. They saw things that they think they need to work on for this season coming up. And they also knew what I had on the line. And he said more after that. But basically, to me, what he's saying, and he said later on, if we would have won, no one would have cared, which is true. So what he's saying is, look, I gave you 31 points. I gave you a chance to win the game. I gave Emory a chance to show what he can do. And I gave the coaches a chance to see what next year looks like in a full contact setting, because Emery in practice, you can't hit him. So you really don't know fully what he can do without getting hit. I mean, I was skeptical the whole way. I always thought we needed a quarterback, but some people need to be convinced with the live action, because Emery in a non-contact setting is going to be more prolific, because his athleticism issues are less pronounced. He can just stand in the pocket. If he gets tagged, he gets tagged. Otherwise, he can deliver the ball accurately with confidence. So good environment to evaluate. Didn't turn out great for the Canes. If they won the game, no one would have cared.
If Emery doesn't appear at all in that game, are you in kind of my camp, which is like, he's probably the quarterback on this roster?
A much better chance.
Yeah,
I think
certainly
when you measure him
stark contrast
against an expensive Beck who has an injury, maybe you can convince yourself injury, the money, we don't want to go there because we have Emery. You at least have something to measure against. Whereas what ended up being is we got to get somebody, and Beck is by far the best option, and we will with Beck. So I agree, it'd be a tougher decision.
I am curious of your agent perspective here, Pete, on those comments. We can read into them because I don't think nationally anybody cares about Xavier Restrepo, but this is a teammate that is technically being thrown under the bus.
I mean, what I want to pretty much just talk about what I kind of mentioned in the beginning. It's that it's not that I worry about Cam in front of, the cameras. That's not, we've all seen him, how he interviews and how he conducts himself, so that he can handle himself. It's more about like any player. These videos we see are in the middle of workouts. Any player in a workout setting, if the cameras aren't around, is saying wild stuff, right? Like I understand it's the Dion camp, right? And it's his son's media outlet. And this is all why Shedeur has become what he's become, outside of being a great football player and going to be a top pick here as well. But like, I just don't know if it's a necessary thing for Cam to I understand they're working out together, so it's tough, but like, that's my biggest takeaway out of this in the draft process. It's not going to affect his draft seeding as much as like he's putting a spotlight on himself, not necessarily a fault of his own, because again, you put any player in that setting, and like, stuff is said that if cameras were around would be huge headlines. And I don't know that you want to put a microscope on it, because he's going to be a top pick here. The scrutiny that's put on these guys and stuff comes back. So that's my biggest takeaway. In terms of the sitting out stuff, I have a ton of respect for the guys who do play, right? Like if a guy wants to play, as an agent, you lay out what the situation is. But at the end of the day, if they want to play, they want to play. As a guy who has been an agent, guys who want to play have played. There's no talking them into not playing or out of playing, right? Like, they're going to do what they want to do at the end of the day.
Your job as an agent is just to present the
scenarios. Yeah. Well, really, they got to understand where they stand at that point in terms of like, listen, if you don't play another game, this is where you're getting drafted. Mm-hmm. If you play this game and you have, you're going up against this guy, could it help you? Yeah. But you present what is the situation. And then look, the problem really is that this is an issue that's happened now for this has been a thing for like 10 years now, right? With guys opting out. Like, it's so far gone that they've seen it. They've seen guys opt out for so long. It's the thing. So yes, they're trying to work it back. Guys are playing again now still, but it's just, that's my take on it. Again, it's the unnecessary cameras. That's my thing.
I want to walk back saying he threw him under the bus. I kind of feel like he was holding X accountable, and he didn't even mention X's name. Like, we deduced who he's talking about, because we also kind of know who he's talking about. Like I said, it wasn't
Sam Brown. Listen,
too.
Sam Brown didn't play either. How do we know that's not who he was talking about?
And Horton left.
He said guys, so he was probably talking about.
And he said, because I didn't see the full clip, I apologize. So he said, what was it again that he said? That he felt like guys should have played in the game.
There were some guys that didn't play that he felt should have.
You know what? I'm going to go out there and say I'm not sure that this was even about Restrepo, based on what I not that I know, but what I've deducted about.
Okay,
this, so.
Fair enough. Restrepo wasn't out there though, and it was a disappointment. And I felt especially disappointed when the whole narrative around players opting out of bowl games was such that to complain nationally about a dude playing a half and being a team player while you evaluate the rest of your team. And by the way, there were a lot of Miami Hurricanes fans complaining about that. I already told you the roundabout way you landed Carson Beck because of that decision. I feel pretty confident that if Cam Ward plays that entire game, our quarterback situation is different, or certainly the path that we got to landing the top available portal quarterback is a lot different. So nothing but gratitude for Cam Ward. If anyone who reps the orange and green remotely references him sitting out the second half of a meaningless exhibition, a ridiculous game in which they toast a giant human-like pastry, I'm going to character assassinate you. I am judging you forever. That is not the Cam Ward experience. And hopefully that moment in time is a launch pad for where the University of Miami needs to go.
I know who else opted out of that game. This guy right here.
I did. Cam Ward gave more care and attention to that game than I would.
That's no doubt. Of course, I was there with the Canes Inside community.
I was there too.
P was there. We were watching that Pop-Tart come out of the scoreboard, and really it was like a recreation of the resurrection. It was almost sacrilegious what was happening with that Pop-Tart.
It was sacrilegious.
Sacrilegious, perhaps, but also sacrilegious with the Pop-Tart resurrecting. It would have been all fun and games if we won. We were all mad because we lost, though, so all the Pop-Tart stuff's not as funny.
Well, don't attribute it any kind of social currency, and you'll be fine the way that I do. I'm not a fan of bowl games that make fun of the teams playing in it.
Pete, what's up? How you doing?
That's his go-to after the segment ends, huh?
Yeah, that's a transition. I mean, I'm not a radio professional, so I'll just throw it to you. Go do something.
Yeah, I was gonna say the transitions are a little smoother on the daily show, on the daily shows when we're talking like Canes football.
Yeah, Pete, well, I'll tell you, nothing really, Pete. Honestly, Pete, I gotta tell you, nothing is smoother than that crema de malanga at Islas Canarias. New menu items on display at Islas Canarias Express at the Dayland Dining Pavilion. Also, the Croqueta County shirts. If you would like your own, croquetacounty.com. Support Islas that way. It is a statement. It's a lifestyle. It's a culture. Islas Canarias in the Dayland Dining Pavilion. 7 different types of croquetas. The OG ham, voted the best croqueta in Miami year after year after year. You got the kimchi. You got the vegetarian version. You got so many chicken. I believe you have bacalao. I hope I'm not wrong on that. But if not, I'm sure there's a grandma in the back that can make it for you upon request at Islas Canarias. 40 years and running. The best Cuban restaurant in Miami.
Is it fair to say that probably the biggest Miami Hurricanes headline is in the entertainment field? It got Pete to the movies. Pete has seen 3 movies in 3 years. So that's a pretty big deal. The Miami Hurricanes are now officially canon in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Want to clap it up for Danny Ramirez for an all-time press tour. Rep the U damn near every stop, too. This dude bleeds orange and green, and he went to a screening over the weekend, took out the entire Miami football team. Coach Cristobal was out there. Danny's a huge supporter of the Miami Athletics and the football program in particular. It was great to see them give that love back and support the film. #1 in the box office, #1 in our hearts, and also playing hurt because that dude chewed on a bad taco and it knocked his ass out for the rest of the press tour. So just an unbelievable run. Wish he would have repped us a little bit better in that Celebrity All-Star game. That was unfortunate.
A very good athlete, though, a slot receiver in his day, a soccer player. When my son met him, my 10-year-old son, he's like, after he left, he goes, that guy looks like Restrepo. So he's already ethnically stereotyping at the age of 10 Colombians.
Yeah.
Colombians.
Nice little targeted ad over here on this Twitter feed too. I'm littered with that there. But Danny repping the cutoff. That's great to see. It makes me wonder if, this was a big hit at the box office. If Falcon continues going on, are we going to get an orange and green variant of the costume? So we're already leaning green a little bit. More Marvel Miami Hurricanes tie-ins. This is pretty much, I believe, one of the few schools, I really can't remember another one, collegiate universities that are now canon.
We got The Rock also. So you get The Rock and Danny together, Now we can really get cooking. Whether grads are in movies, there's someone else, right?
Sylvester Stallone.
And Sylvester Stallone. Stallone, The Rock,
Ray Liotta,
and Ramirez.
Ray Liotta, rest in peace.
Ray Liotta, 100%. Andy Garcia, was he a UM guy?
He's a Miami guy. I don't know if he's a UM guy.
Ramirez, Stallone,
we're getting a question. Can we get him on CIS?
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, He's out here texting people. He's at like these worldwide premieres, these fashion shows. The guy's wearing like the avant-garde clothes.
We'll get him for the digital release. Let his vocal cords heal up a little bit.
Oh yeah, when he's
Listen,
100%.
Mike, all I'm gonna say is that they used to get on Young Thug for wearing the same stuff Danny's wearing. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, when he's wearing all those stylish clothes, he's out there texting for updates on JoJo Trader and like, Armando Blunt. A guy is a hardcore Canes fan. It's not like he just watches a few 2001 highlights before he goes to the gym. This guy is obsessed with the Canes.
It's not the only reason they got on Young Thug.
Well,
this pesky murder.
He's all right. He's
That's
free.
all right. Yeah, but shout out to Danny. Thank you for making the Miami Hurricanes canon. And you guys, if you've seen it once, see it twice, because we need Danny to get to like superstar status so we can just keep loading up Miami athletics, because there are going to be some dividends here.
Yeah, Pete, pull up the picture at the movie theater if you can. Cristobal is out there. Nice team building.
Where was those pictures?
Were those private chat ones, or were they on there?
I don't know. Someone points out in the
I don't
comment
remember
section,
seeing those
Abella, another wonderful actress.
About 5 comments in the reminding us. So that's the group you need. You need The Rock as kind of just like in his prime star, Stallone kind of the old star advising The Rock, maybe Danny getting pushed up, maybe you get Abella as a love interest. You can get the whole Miami Hurricanes. You get Cam Ward do a guest spot in there, with Restrepo, bring them back together. Restrepo could be Danny's brother or something like that.
He could be.
Make it happen
if he opts in.
What do you call that film, man? We just fantasy booked a #1 worldwide hit.
Well, just verify your age before you see it.
All right. So what's up, Pete? Like you were saying,
I got him twice. I know there's not a lot of stuff going on here.
I'll tell you what, Mike. I love cinema, but there's no better cinema than what's happening this afternoon in Madrid.
Yeah, oh, really?
This evening.
We got City today.
Yeah.
City of Madrid. Cool. Lucky high top game for you.
Yep. If I can get over there in time, but we're not in a rush. We're gonna,
All right. Let's check all the Miami boxes before we get real into.
Well, there are a lot of questions on baseball. The baseball team.
That's where I wanted to go. You are Mark Light, Pete. What have you seen from the baseball team this year? Did they lose that game to FAU last night?
They did 2-1.
All right, not great.
Yeah, I'm not really the one to ask. That would be Danny over there.
So here's my view on the baseball team. 3 games against Niagara, which they couldn't even practice because it was too cold up there. So they're like really getting up to speed now. They're behind the 8 ball. FAU, which is on the same playing field as Miami in terms of being able to practice all winter because it's South Florida. That was going to be a very telling game. Miami lost the game. The pitching has improved on the midweek. Last year, the midweek pitching performances were quite abysmal. This year, much better for the first game, but the bats went dead. Cuvée couldn't get going. Max Galvin couldn't get going. This baseball, this happens, but not great. They keep losing FAU. Still super early. I think the pitching improvement is for real. The hitting, we'll just have to see. I mean, again, it's baseball. You don't read too much into one game, but you hope that the bats can heat up, especially against this midweek pitching.
Yeah, my hopes are already kind of dashed with that result. I'm not so bullish on the staff, and I hope that they turn it around. I'll be at the light supporting, doing what I can. I love the experience at the game. Man, do I miss rooting on a winner, a consistent winner, someone that is constantly threatening for Omaha. Went a couple of years ago, ran into the eventual champion in Ole Miss. That was really fun, and it's a nice little piece of Americana in Coral Gables, and it's going to be interesting to see where baseball kind of falls in line when rev share becomes a thing. Certainly, we're headed there. This is a proud program with a real proud history. It's hard to win a national title in this sport, especially. Look at the rest of the state. Look at your rivals in state and see the difficult time that they've had trying to compete with you on that level. And it kind of feels like a bygone era. It felt like there would be like a little peak and valley. Okay, 2 seasons off, 1 season certainly on. 1 season we can talk ourselves into Omaha and making a deep run. This kind of feels like if we don't nip this right now, if we don't turn things around right now, there might be a prolonged absence from something that should feel like a birthright to Miami baseball fans, and that is Omaha.
Yeah, look, the SEC has gone to a whole new level. You have to acknowledge that. But you have teams like Virginia, competing, Wake Forest. There's no excuse why Miami cannot compete at that level.
Wake Forest, Duke, those are
great programs. I mean, I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong. They're great programs, but I'm just saying from I can see how the SEC's cranked it up financially, where the head baseball coach is making $3 million with Tennessee. But you can't tell me Virginia, Duke, Wake Forest, NC State are operating on a different financial plane than the Hurricanes. FSU's broke. They're getting sued for not paying NIL. Broken pretty much every sport and endeavor. So we'll see. It's early. I do see some encouraging signs with the pitching. The hitting's got to play better than it did yesterday, but that's baseball. You don't read too much into one game.
I don't think it's a support issue when it comes to Miami baseball. Yeah, are there other programs that have deeper pockets when it comes to that sport? Certainly in the SEC, Texas has buku bucks at their disposal. But also, you mentioned Wake Forest. That's a team that did it with next to no NIL, with a really good manager that would have been a good hire down here, that wanted to be down here. In Miami, because they prioritized the football team, decided to give someone that was already on staff a chance. So my whole thing, same view that I had when Manny Diaz here was on the staff. Like, you don't get the same kind of leash a new hire would get. You were on the staff before. You were part of the old regime. Therefore, leash gets shorter. And I think that, look, everyone was complaining about the pitching and he got a promotion. So you got to turn it around. I do know that Miami values its baseball program. When it comes to rev share, they're going to continue to be aggressive there. The collective has been involved with Miami baseball. You default to the manager. And sometimes the manager prioritizes different things, wants to go in different directions, wants to focus on development. We can debate that till we're blue in the face, but you made a hire. And you give the hire what he needs, what he says he needs to compete at the highest level. And it's up to him to soar or sink. And right now, last year was a disappointment. You give him the benefit of the doubt there a little bit. This is a very telling season for Miami baseball.
No, there's no doubt. Look, I'm someone who coaching hires and all that. I wait till after the season. Usually this February, the team just started playing. Are there concerns? Obviously, anytime you come off a season like last year, significant concerns. You start the season unranked, significant concerns. But I'm going to wait as far as those dynamics until after the season. Hope they turn it around. But I mean, look, what you're saying is not wrong as far as this. I mean, we're talking about Elvis. Elvis was at the top of the charts the last time the Canes had a losing season, and that was then not, you know, American Eagle, rhinestone Elvis. We're talking about black and white Elvis. So it's a little bit concerning.
Yeah, Pete, I do want to switch gears to the hardwood real quick. I've seen a couple of Pitino comments. It's good to see societal shift. Rick Pitino benefiting from that and what he's done at St. John's. That's incredible. I can get talked into Rick Pitino. I'll always be able to get talked into Rick Pitino inside of 2 minutes. Who do you want to see as head coach of the University of Miami? You hearing anything? Any hot rumors getting you excited? Any message board posts on Canes Insight?
I mean, people are asking for the short list. It's been pretty tight-lipped. I've said for like 3 weeks that they were down to what I heard, like 2 or 3 names. I hadn't heard who those names were. Like, I haven't been able to nail that down exactly. We are in a chat that, you know, you got the same text yesterday, Mike. But Will Wade has been a name was early on, like right away. We said Will Wade's name, right? The stuff that happened at LSU, he had them in a position that they hadn't been in years before they got in trouble with NIL. Now, I personally think that stuff should get thrown out the window. I would love him as the head coach. He's at McNeese State now, has won a lot of games there. I've heard mixed things on whether or not they would be okay with the past issues. Like, I heard initially that it was going to be a major no. Then I've heard, well, let's see, because it's a changing landscape. So I hope it's more on that end of the spectrum. I've also heard, like, since the beginning and still today, it's going to be someone with NBA ties thing, which obviously wouldn't be Will Wade, but the name that would be interesting to me, D, and we talked about this name before, is Chris Quinn. And I've heard from 4 different sides that he loves Miami, wants to be here. Family loves it here. If Miami's interested in him, I think he would really, really take a hard look at an opportunity like that over something in the NBA. I don't know that he's been offered. Has he been offered in the last couple of years a head coaching job? I know he's had opportunities, and
Yeah, I think the NBA assistants. You had Fizdale. I think they're saying that the Heat culture is hard to implement when you don't have top-down buy-in from the owner to the president with the kind of gravitas that Riley has. It's hard to get people to buy into that kind of military
exactly
culture.
Is that gravitas?
Probably the biggest winner in the history of the sport of basketball. Somebody who both ushered in this star pairing up environment with the LeBron
and
Wade,
also
Bosh,
killed it.
and then also said, I'll go to the finals with guys I get off the street because I'm Pat Riley.
You still believe?
I mean, I certainly still believe. I believe the 22 finals run, the 20 finals run, those shirts still fit. I mean, that's not like that long ago, my friend. That was
fit better on some of us.
I will say, guys, sorry to interrupt, but like, if they haven't already made the decision, which I hope they already have their guy locked up, there's jobs that are opening, rapidly. Indiana's now on the market. That's going to be a job that's probably more highly sought after than Miami.
Yeah, but the names that you mentioned, none of them are going to be tied to
No,
Indiana.
but I'm
That's
just saying in general, man. I mean, I don't know that these are the names. Like I said, this is speculation on my part, but I've talked to people, and these are names that have been mentioned, but I don't know that these are like the 2 or 3 names that I mentioned that they were down to, from what I understood.
Yeah.
So I can't confirm that those are the guys. So I don't know that they are, but I'm just saying in general, the more open jobs on the market, the tougher it is to actually like land the guy that you want. That's just how it goes.
Well, it's a pivotal hire.
Yeah.
You're talking about, it feels like in building up to a huge inflection point, and maybe the inflection point started a couple of years ago, but come next basketball season, we will have a totally new era of college athletics with rev share and schools directly funding NIL, and whoever you pick to be the CEO of that program needs to be successful, because Miami plays in a historically competitive conference. I know they're down big this year. The SEC is a mammoth in all sports right now.
26 has a question here that is pretty much what I would say would be how it would look. He says, if you bring in an NBA assistant, would you expect a GM type to also come with roster construction, NIL, etc.? Big difference between the two. For sure, I would expect that to be the setup.
Gosen and Von Donaldson, I see your comments right there. Rad can't miss on another hire. I'll look, if I'm a very unlikely source for Dan Radakovich praise. I like the hire that he made in basketball. I think Trish has proven that she can be a dog on the trail.
A lot of close losses.
Usually year 2, that stuff evens out. It's going to be interesting to see. We have a really good young class coming in, and one that we recruited last year, one of the best, probably the best class in women's program history. In game, you can have your concerns a little bit, but it's still her first year down here in Miami. I think that's been a good hire. Baseball, it was what it was. I can tell you that was not Dan Radakovich's pick. He's the athletic director, but the school decided, we understand. There's this Duke guy, there's this Wake Forest guy. I believe Dan Radakovich was firmly entrenched in getting the Duke guy, but you had to make priorities. You had to make tough financial decisions. We know that the University of Miami's business goes really well when football is back. So Miami doubled down on its investment in football, and you're going to have to cut in certain places. And they decided to give a guy that was on staff, that had a lot of support from former players and key boosters, an opportunity to show what he's got. Fortunately for him, he's showing what he's got right now, and he's got to turn it around because the pressure is going to mount.
I think with Quinn, because that was a great question about the NIL and everything, I think someone like him who runs very much or knows how to run a program, because the Heat, that's not a collection of talent. That's a program, a developmental program. Even their max players, their all-stars, Adebayo, Hero, those were guys that really worked themselves into what they
He knows both ways. He's been here when we were talent accumulation as well.
He was, and those guys developed into the best versions of themselves as well.
No doubt.
But when you talk about the ability to get more out of less, I think you go to college and you can get guys from lower ranked schools, maybe even Division 2 or 3, like
basketball,
Duncan.
In basketball, especially, you can only do it to a certain extent in football,
and
because of the body type.
100%. And then you put those guys in a very specific conditioning regiment, which you can do at the University of Miami. I'm sure those guys. It's not like they have equipment that
the pros
Miami
are training
have.
at Miami's facility in the offseason anyway.
Exactly. So I think you could implement that exact system here, get the most out of guys, get 1 or 2 superstars. But Jaleel Bethea, instead of being surrounded by Jalen Blackman and Nigel Pack and a roster that made no sense, you would get a Bethea, surround him with guys that are role players developed in this system, and do it differently. Because if you're just out there trying to spend with Kansas and Kentucky and whatever school of the moment there is, Gonzaga, you're not enough focused on basketball to compete with those schools. So you're not going to win those battles.
I see you highlighted that. You're just a big Jack McClinton guy. Look, I like having Jack around the program as luminaries. Does Miami need a GM over its basketball program? I know that's very in vogue right now. I'd like to see what we have with a head coach and go from there. I think it's a huge hire. I think you need to empower the head coach to rebuild a culture here, because one thing that Jim Larrañaga did was he did build a culture, but also that culture got undone. Unfortunately, and the vibes around the program right now are toxic. This is an opportunity for a reset foundationally, talent-wise, and also culture-wise. So this is Miami 2.0. Unfortunately, it's a damn shame because Miami went to had back-to-back deep runs, an Elite Eight, and a Final Four. We can lament all we want that they didn't do enough with that. It is what it is. Factually true. They didn't do enough with that. That's a golden opportunity. Hopefully it is not the peak of this program. And one of my biggest fears in talking about Miami basketball is we're going to be like we are presently with football. Like, can you remember 25 years ago? I don't want that for this program at all. I think this program can prove to you that it's been a destination, that good players will come here, that you can have good coaches come here too, and that you can win inside this basketball conference and take down the likes of Duke and North Carolina and stand on top of the shoulders of giants. Hopefully we look back at Jim Larrañaga's tail end and understand what happened there. There's a guy that was longer in the tooth. The game kind of evolved underneath him. The rules kind of changed around him. And that's that. But I really hope that this is just a little bump in the road and not just a full stop of our momentum. And
I just hope that someone's those in the bottom.
Am I sounding that crazy today, man? Come on, West End. So no, I got some Mountain Valley spring water, man. The best in the game, the freshest.
Yeah, you got to feed that creatine.
Yeah, gotta
flush it out.
Filter it out of the
otherwise
system.
Otherwise, you retain it, and then you get that's where the boobs come.
You want in the medium men chat, D, or no?
Am I invited?
No, he's not. He's not.
I mean, I fish sometimes.
Nope. Nope. Not at all allowed in the meaty men. Sorry. I am constantly looking out for our members. Did you take me up on the apple pectin suggestion?
I haven't. No.
Oh, you got to worry about those microplastics.
I had one other comment I wanted to get to.
Hold on, wait, Pete. There's one I wanted to get to. You're looking for it because this is Juan Manuel Ventura is an artist here with his questions. I'm not even going to answer the question because I'm not sure how to answer the question, but I will just present it as written for those listening on the radio. So Juan Manuel Ventura, hey, wave emoji, Pete, D Money, and Mike. Are you impressed with Snoop Dogg's comedic acumen? ? Will Bill Belichick bring his girlfriend to Miami when we play? ? If he does, a Bella Danger, traffic sign emoji, exclamation point emoji.
That's danger.
You've been drafted. Oh, that's the danger emoji?
Those are danger emojis.
There you go. Yeah. Juan Manuel. Painting a picture here. I'm not sure what it is, but a lot of questions there. I don't know the answer. Snoop Dogg's comedic acumen. I think the guy's unbelievable. He had the best line ever when he said, "You're a gangster. How they let you do commercials?" The guy was arrested and bounced back to not only have a successful music career, but to be the most mainstream spokesman in America.
Murder was a case.
Snoop is the man. Had some great albums that kind of go under the radar.
The No Limit era.
The No Limit era. Those are good. They had some good songs on there.
It was a strange pairing.
It was a strange pairing, but musical. Both those guys are musical, so they can do it. Snoop's a soul singer at heart, a great artist. Shout out to him and his riches.
I'll answer the middle question. It is very clear that wherever Bill Belichick goes, the girlfriend's going too. It has become abundantly clear.
I take it to Miami. That's kind of a dangerous, situation.
No pun intended.
There you go.
Look at you, Pete. Pete, what's up?
No, I found the comment. Eric says, Pete, what's your handicap? Let's hit the link sometime. I have a couple. But if you're talking about, my golf handicap, there we go. 8.6 USGA. Not sure if I'm playing at that right now, but
got Ronnie Dangerfield over here.
I tell you.
Well, that was great, Pete.
That was a great.
That's why I kept asking what was going on. I knew he had it in him. All right, we got breaking news here from Johnny Lagoon. My wife is pregnant. Not my wife. Johnny Lagoon's wife is pregnant, having a baby. Shout out, Johnny Lagoon.
Shout out to Johnny.
You're the man.
Congratulations, D. Happy for you.
The beauty of the Lagoon family expanding. We love to see it. Great listener, great dude. Met him and his lovely wife in person. He'll bring it through to Bodega.
I did too. It was a memory that will last a lifetime for old Johnny. He won't let go of it.
That's right. I hope that kid spits on you.
All right, let's get to music and song of the week, wrestler of the week.
Let's do it. Go. You start with the song of the week.
Unless you got some more Miami Hurricanes headlines. I know they are bountiful these days.
We got some recruiting stuff happening.
We do? What's the recruiting stuff?
The comment section is blowing up with support for Johnny Lagoon. What a legend, man. When you are a YouTube show commentator and you get that kind of pop from the chat, that's how you know you've made it.
He's with us every week. He's with you guys on Wednesdays more than I am.
Oh, I talk to Johnny Lagoon more than I talk to my family. The guy is a staple. Great guy. Shout out to the Goons.
All right. So you said we have recruiting stuff.
Oh yeah, we
did it yesterday, but
we could potentially have recruiting stuff.
Look, I don't
care.
It
could happen. It could happen. Stuff is happening.
I'm just trying to give
the number one recruit in the country visiting doesn't excite you?
No, it does, but I mean, wait, which one is that? Is that Chris Henry or the lineman?
Jackson Cantwell.
Okay.
Oh, we got Chris Henry also visiting, and Tristan Keith. That's a 5-star visiting. I gotta say, the official visit list is loaded. That is true. Cantwell.
This Chris Henry is related. He is an actual junior. I got tricked by the Chris Johnson Jr. before.
That was a little tricky. They played the exact same way.
You can never trust a junior anymore these days.
No. This is Chris Henry Jr. Looks just like him. Plays like him too. Stud. It'd be a cool story to see him get the NFL. His dad had a lot of talent. Wasn't able to really have the fullest career because of what happened. I think that'd be cool if his son kind of lives in the legacy. He's definitely a real player.
Stud.
The guy's a big time 5-star.
Yeah, but he's got Ohio State #1, right?
Oh, he's committed to Ohio State. He's committed to them. So
that's a tough row to hoe.
You know, there's an old country music saying, if you dance, you got a chance. Well, if you dance, you got a chance when it comes to 5 stars visiting the lovely city of Miami. So listen, switching gears from this tropical paradise bustling with life and energy and rhythm, your song of the week.
Yeah. I picked this song just to trigger you. I have my regrets because I've actually been like wearing out the Crow soundtrack. I'm repping Brandon Lee. Rest in peace.
A nice Sting WCW shirt there.
It's not Sting. It's Brandon Lee, son of Bruce. I would have thought that you would get down with Bruce Lee's Nepo baby, Brandon Lee, a star taken way too soon. Really tragic story. Shot on the set of his film. Too much gunpowder in the prop gun. His stunt double actually goes on to be Chad Stileski, who directed John Wick and built out that franchise. It was a real moment of clarity for Chad. Like his whole career has been based off of like, that should have been my bullet. And so he's made something of his life. So ironically enough, like Brandon Lee's legacy is not just the work that he left behind, but also the stunt double who feels like that was his bullet. He has gone on and made the most of his career, an impact player in Hollywood. So shout out to Chad and shout out to that soundtrack. But I really just wanted to trigger D-Money because I love his bad music takes. And I imagine Radiohead is chief among them. My song of the week is Everything Is in Its Right Place by Radiohead off the Kid A album. Which is your favorite Radiohead album? Because I got a sneaky pick.
You know what? I'll tell you, because I do listen to Radiohead, more for educational purposes.
So you can be armed with...
So I can be armed to hate?
Yeah. It's like me with the Grateful Dead and Bruce Springsteen. I'm like, all right, I never liked these guys, but I won't let anyone tell me, oh, you just don't get it.
you gotta listen to
You just don't get it. You haven't given it a try. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to torture myself and listen to this stuff. So is that what you do with Radiohead?
Pretty much. I would say my favorite Radiohead album would be The Bends, because at that point they were still writing songs, which we'll get to.
High and Dry is a beautiful song.
They have songs on that album. They're actual songs.
I got some bangers.
So this one, which I like. We'll talk about this one, but give me the spiel on this song, which Pete is even a fan of.
Pete, I love hipster Pete. All the EA soccer games have
I had never heard of these people, but they can go, man. They can boogie.
Radiohead can go, and they can also frustrate the hell out of you. I think a lot of criticisms that people have about Radiohead are valid. What is the singer saying? I can't understand them. All that stuff. Sometimes watching them live, you never know what kind of mood they're going to be in. They're top of the line musicians, regardless of what they do with their skills. They are top line musicians. You cannot question their longevity. Their albums can be an acquired taste, but they've got 3 gargantuan ones. Okay, Computer Kid A. You can lump the Bends in there, certainly. I go with In Rainbows. That is my favorite. I think In Rainbows is actually kind of a throwback to the Bends days where they try to make songs that are a little bit more conventionally constructed. This was Radiohead getting into the peak of their experimental phase. Everything in its right place is a great example of that, with the voice loops and the production. Paranoid Android is like 2 different songs essentially. That there are so many great songs that Radio have in their discography. I know they are polarizing. There were times in my life where Radiohead has been as high as a top 5 band of all time, and then I've soured on them, not really getting. King of Limbs was one that I wasn't really super happy about. I've seen them live. I've seen them be great live. I've come away disappointed from their song selection live. I get why they are more of a controversial band, certainly more polarizing than I think music critics and a lot of the people that you think I probably get my music taste from. They are media darlings, no doubt. But I get it when it comes to Radiohead. However, they have, for my money, 4 really great albums. You could probably put Pablo Honey in there as well. They are absolute rock and roll Hall of Famers, worthy of that. Some of the greatest anthemic songs. Creep is an all-time song. I know that was an unrecognizable version of Radiohead, given where we are now. But when this album came around, released in 2003, we were coming out of the new metal thing, and all there was indie rock trying to find a foothold, and that would not come for another 6 years. But while that was happening, Radiohead was king of the mountain, and they were pushing boundaries, and they basically made rock music unrecognizable. Maybe you can look back on it and blame them for a little bit of where we are now. But Radiohead, to me, is an all-time band, and I cannot wait to watch you crap all over that.
You know what? I didn't disagree with really much of what you said.
Even-handed?
Here's what I'll say. They sold 30 million albums. They sell out stadiums in South America. They're not like some niche band that's being propped up. So I can't say that about them negatively, because they were able to transcend more, more boundaries than I gave them credit for, or thought they would be able to do. They're a real famous band.
Not just in popularity, but also musically. They cross all sorts of boundaries, and they are genre bending.
This song is super original. I think they have cool album covers. I think they have cool just visuals. The name is cool. Radio is a cool name.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great recording.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great recording, and certainly a great snippet, right? The beginning, the little repeated notes, the Herbie Hancock,
Mm-hmm.
the sound of it. Very, very cool.
Great production.
Great production. Now, song. When I say a song, that means somebody can cover it. That means I can go to some, little hoolies in Kendall, and some guy with a guitar can just play a version of the song on a guitar, and I can at least understand and appreciate the song and feel it even without the bells and whistles of the production. That to me is songwriting. Creep, like you said, great song. That's an actual song that can be covered. It can be covered by a superior artist like Prince that actually makes it a whole nother
level.
Your
argument for them is like, I can't cover Idiotech, so that's not a good song.
It's not a song.
Idiotech's a great track, though.
You can't exactly like there's one song, it's just the bass line.
Yeah, it's not a song. It's a track.
Yeah, it's a nice bass line. It's a nice part of a song. It's a nice
track
fragment. It's a track. Okay.
Yeah.
I like songs. Call me old fashioned.
Right.
I like songs, and you got to cover. Songs got to be covered. That's a true song. When it can be covered by many different artists, by any one of us with a piano.
All right.
That's a song.
So you put the work in on Radiohead, so you can enter a debate. I always love debating you. And you do your best to be informed, even when you're wrong. Old fashioned. You told me to call you that.
Yeah.
What are your top 3 Radiohead songs? Can you do it off the dome?
I could. I mean, I like this sound. I can't call this a song. High and Dry I like.
High and Dry.
The Fake Plastic Trees I like. And Creep I like. Those are songs.
Yeah, those are great songs.
And all those songs could be covered. I'm sure they have been covered many times.
You should revisit In Rainbows. Those are all songs.
I never visited it. I didn't get that far. I got this one. Dude. I got this one. I got the Benz. I got the OK Computer.
I know what I love most about you, and you and I have a pretty good cultural exchange. If America could get along the way that we do and try our best to have a discourse and see each other's side, when you go to the mat for an artist like you did with Burt Bacharach, I will give a listen and you broaden my horizons. Do me a favor. Listen to In Rainbows by Radiohead, because it's a bit of a hot take to say that is their best album. In Rainbows is a return to the Radiohead that you could go to Little Hoolies and hear All I Need. It's a very romantic album. It's a beautiful album, top to bottom, like really well organized. Like it is a formal listening experience. It is a long play album. So do yourself a favor and visit it.
I will visit it. And it's funny because I read an article on that. I never heard the album. I read an article, and I think, tell me I'm talking about the right album, that they were like playing like Led Zeppelin covers, like as a band to kind of like get their sound before they
Yeah,
But they kind of went back to their roots.
Well,
I
it
think
certainly
was
wasn't
just
any of the earlier albums because there
Right.
wasn't really a lot of Led Zeppelin influence there, even though they have a pretty good drummer. But I would say, they have great Philip Selway. They have great musicians, and I think they kind of realized where they were. It was kind of a midlife crisis-y album. They realized that they were probably too old to keep doing the experimental stuff, even though Tom never really got that message. But he's like, I have side projects. He does his solo stuff. Hearing Damage by Tom York that actually showed up on the Twilight soundtrack. Great track. He has The Smile, which actually put out another album, which is a side project. Atoms for Peace. Are you familiar with Atoms for Peace?
I'm not.
That is Tom York from Radiohead and Flea on bass. That album was a banger.
No one named Adam.
Atoms, like
Atoms for
ATOM.
Peace. I see.
Yeah, Atoms for Peace.
Oh, okay,
but
I get it.
if I tell you Flea and Tom York got a band together, you're gonna want to listen.
They could go.
Yeah, listen to that album start to finish too. It was one album, and they had like 6 songs that were really, really good on that album. But I'm glad that you heard me out because I've seen you kind of spit at Radiohead quite a bit in our time.
Honestly, good band, bad influence is how I'd put Radiohead. You can't knock them when they've sold that many records playing the kind of music that they play. That shows you, to me, a high quality. If you could sell records while still doing whatever you want to do, which is what they've done here. Also, my song of the week and my artist that I'm highlighting did the same thing, selling over 100 million records. The number one top woman of the 70s. Great picture selection by my man Pete, Linda Ronstadt. So I could talk about this woman all day. I have my Ronstadt radio playlist, which I have.
I think there are days that you have talked about Linda Ronstadt all day.
Got it. My Ronstadt radio playlist, over 300 songs. I think it's like 30 hours worth of music on that one. So when we talk about diverse artists, right, we're talking about the diverse art, like the David Bowies of the world, the Kid Rocks. You got to throw in Linda Ronstadt to that equation. So
you're trying to trigger me right now.
The best. So listen,
you could have gone Beck.
I could have gone Beck, but I'm not
you're married
one
to
of his
Beck.
40 fans.
Yeah.
I'm one of the masses that is more familiar with Kid Rock's catalog across genres with major hits.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Linda, those of you who were alive in the 70s, this was the girl. You see her, half Mexican, beautiful Catholic schoolgirl. I mean, we could have grown up with this girl, Linda Ronstadt, down here. So the star of the 70s, and her sold more records than pretty much anybody, certainly any woman. And if you look at her style on each of those big 70s albums, it had a little bit of a formula, but within that formula, unprecedented diversity. You had the rock song. You had the 50s rock song, the Buddy Holly type rock song. You had the pop song. You had the
Southern
R&B,
country,
the Motown, and then you had the country songs.
That's her sweet spot for you. That's your favorite, Linda.
All of those. The soul songs are good. The rock songs she does are good. It's all on one album, but that's how her formula was. Whether it was Heart Like a Wheel, Hasten Down the Wind, all these albums kind of followed the same.
That's a great
formula.
shout.
And they made a ton of money with that diverse catalog. Then she gets to the 80s. What does she do? New wave album. One of the best new wave, most underrated new wave albums of all time, went platinum, new wave, and a new haircut. Immediately after that, what does she do? She does an operetta, classic operetta. People loved it. I don't know what operettas are, but I'm told that it was outstanding.
I feel like Lady Gaga does that all the time.
Oh, is this like a show? This was like a show with costumes and stuff.
Okay. Oh, I've done one of those.
Yeah. Who hasn't? And then
For brunch.
Then
at least I used to.
After that, she brings back the Great American Songbook. All the pre-rock hits, the Frank Sinatra type songs, the Bing Crosby style. She does 3 albums in that style, all platinum. This is a decade before Rod Stewart made his career again doing those kind of albums. Then what does she do? She makes a Mexican album, a mariachi album that is the best-selling Latin American album from USA at that time in history.
D-Money, this is why you've talked me into bad Miami Hurricanes teams having a shot at a national title. This right now, you are laying out quite the case. I feel like I have wronged Linda Ronstadt. When I talk about some of the most eclectic artists of all time, you could make an argument that she might be the most eclectic artist of all time.
On Ronstadt radio, I have Gregorian chants with Ronstadt. By the time she gets to the 90s, we're talking Enya music, Gregorian chants. Those did not go platinum. The platinum ended at that time, but I don't think it was because of her music. Maybe, her appearance kind of dropped a little bit towards the 90s. I think that might have hurt her sales a little bit. The music never stopped being of the utmost quality.
She also just retired. She just decided, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah, the tragedy is she's sick. She can't sing anymore. So we don't get Ronstadt catalog is done. Her voice, I would say it's if you put the A+ category, your Whitney Houston, your Mariah Carey, she's in the A- category. I'm talking about Close.
So Adele?
Not the same.
Adele?
Oh, that the great comp.
Yeah.
Now, what
You
she
got
can
Adele
do,
as
though,
an A minus? I got Adele as an A.
I got her as an A too.
Yeah.
Well, then let me put Linda on. If Adele's an A, Linda's an A.
Or is it Lady Gaga?
No. On voice alone, no. Now,
What do you
she
have?
was a
her? B
songwriter.
plus?
Singing, I mean, if we're on that category of like, you got to be elite to be on the list.
It's tough to judge her too because she does a wall like she.
Yeah. Then we call it
turns it on.
melisma in the in the music community. So with Gaga, her songwriting.
This
you
might
gotta
be the
factor
first
in.
time that during this segment the viewership goes down.
Oh, we're at 823. We're cooking right now. Wait, hold on. Last Adele album.
She only does numbers, right?
Oh, time on numbers. Does she be doing that? How old is Adele now? 36?
No. I don't mean like moving units numbers. I mean her albums
Yeah,
are just numbers.
It's her age. It's her age at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm just camping out for 69.
look at you. Here we go.
I couldn't even get Pete on that one.
Was Linda drunk emoji of a fruity drink when she sang Blue Bayou, which is a Ray Orbison song, by the way. Oh, but listen, I didn't even get to my song here. So Willin, off of the multi-platinum album Heart Like a Wheel.
Damn, I thought that said Wyland for a little bit.
I thought it was Wyland at first, but there was one.
Nick
This
Cannon
is an
just
album. You see the beautiful, delicate Linda Ronstadt. This is a song, is a trucker anthem. There's a cover. She did cover. She didn't write songs. She did the cover of a trucker anthem.
Look at her there, man. She is a certified 10.
Well, that's how old she was when she was singing this song, which is about the trucker lifestyle.
Never mind.
Which is about the trucker lifestyle. Shout out to all the truckers, by the way. We got a lot of truckers listening to the Canes Inside podcast. We realize this when we go out to games and we meet people. Shout out to all the truckers keeping this country running. We appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in to this show. This song is for you, Willin. It's about the truck driver life. And on the refrain, it's give me weed, whites, and wine, and show me a sign, and I'll be willing to be moving. This is a 100-pound Mexican girl singing this song.
What's the whites mean?
I don't know. I don't think it's cocaine. I think it's like pills.
Okay.
Truckers in the chat, let us know when you get to a rest stop what that means. But a great song, a classic, covered by many artists, but Linda has the definitive version. Shout out.
You
Ronstadt
laid out a
Radio.
case. She will enter.
I'll send you Ronstadt Radio.
She will enter.
It'll take you on a journey.
Look, Prince, Beck, Kid Rock, Linda Ronstadt, Bowie. Those are the most eclectic artists of all time.
My ears perk every time I hear Beck because I'm like, we're about to get back into
we're
football.
Gonna get back into football, boys. Let's get back into football, boys. No, we're not getting back in football. Look, we're inching towards spring.
We can get into contact, a little more contact, right, with our wrestlers of the week. How about that?
Pete, we getting you back?
Yep.
Getting you, I said back, not Beck.
Pete, who do you want to start with? Which wrestler of the week excites you more?
Yeah. And did you get one this week?
A wrestler of the week?
Yeah. Did you pick one this week?
No, I didn't.
All right, next week.
Yeah, next week. I'll have it next week. I've been studying up and
actually you should join us on Song of the Week.
I should.
Oh, by the way, sports says that the whites in the refrain of the song are amphetamine pills, according to Reddit. That makes sense. Got to stay up for the road.
Thank you,
sports. BSPN. Appreciate you.
I actually saw the documentary on this guy, or bits and pieces of it. My dad would always tell me about him. And that's D.
Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
So, with this being the off season, I've been breaking down film, high school recruits, also breaking down film of classic wrestling. I went back and watched some of Andre the Giant's classic matches from France when he was just a young giant. He had a tumor in his pituitary gland, which caused him to grow abnormally. But he started off normal, so he grew into a giant. He didn't just turn into a giant overnight. So when he was still a young giant, this guy was very mobile in France. They were like hour-long matches, not the moves that you see in modern wrestling, but the build-up, the crowd. It was unreal. The French were going insane. Once they got to the spots, it was nuclear. This guy was taking bumps over the top rope, landing hard on the mat, but like selling. Great seller, great emoter. And he could move, man. He was doing drop kicks. His finishing move was a tombstone before Undertaker was using the tombstone. Just an unbelievable athlete, a unique specimen. There are even articles about him joining the Washington, I guess you call them Commanders now, at the time as a tackle. So this was a guy that was famous for a long time, but don't judge his work in the ring by what he did with the black singlet. Speedo Andre could go.
But you can judge some of the things that he did in the singlet, and that was irrefutably be one of the biggest draws in the history of wrestling. He was an attraction. He was a sight to see. in a sport with behemoths, he found a way to make Hulk Hogan look small. And Hulk Hogan is a massive, massive dude. This guy was an oddity, someone that people would just pay a ticket to look at and wonder aloud, like, how does anyone get put together there? Would have had a nice little entertainment career too, gone way too soon. And then on the peanut, like the whole thing. Absolute superstar. Even when I was little, my dad would always tell me, like, they say he's never been body slammed. Even Hulk's body slammed him before. Like, the guy gets body
So
slammed.
your dad was a mark?
My dad was a driver in the territory days for all these guys. So my dad would always tell me, like, that guy would get slammed 3 times a weekend. It was just regional TVs. But they found a way. The lore of wrestling and the storytelling of Vince McMahon and the huge pop culture moment that was Hulkamania. None of that happens. You always got to look at the other guy, which is a common thread between you and I and my wrestling pick. But the other guy, putting the main guy over, is a huge part of this business. Andre the Giant did what was best for the business and put over Hulkamania. Hulkamania doesn't even get born really without that, because that is a singular moment that people identify Hulkamania with. Even though he beat Iron Sheik and all that, the moment that everyone will refer to, even Hulk Hogan, was the body slam and the leg drop finish over Andre the Giant. That was it. That was a huge moment in time, huge for the business at the Silverdome. And Andre the Giant, an absolute superstar, no doubt.
I just can't believe you're a second generation smart.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad was smart to the game, giving you the behind the scenes before you were even on the internet.
Yeah, I was like an IWC member before there was an
second generation.
Yeah.
WC.
So my wrestler of the week is a guy that's gotten really good at putting people over. For my money, and I know this is going to be controversial, but I think the greatest intercontinental champion of all time is The Miz. The Miz is the greatest intercontinental champion of all time. What he was doing on the SmackDown Live era of WWE, it wasn't one of the greatest eras at all, but SmackDown Live was an appointment television for me. If you were a wrestling fan, you had AJ at the top of the card, and in the mid card, you had Dolph Ziggler and Miz really elevating this belt. He's the greatest IC champion. He's got to get another run to put him as the longest reigning intercontinental champion, because then it might be certifiable. He's the greatest IC champion. What he did to elevate that belt, his program with Daniel Bryan, the long-term storytelling there, and what I admire most about this guy was digging himself out of a bad situation. Yeah, he was on The Real World, and that gave him an opportunity that probably others don't get. And he was bullied for it. There's well documented his history with JBL. You could tell in that promo where he used it, and it was a walk back from the locker room out to the main stage. You could see right then a star was being born, and a star was born. And you can knock his in-ring prowess. You can knock the style. You can knock his cheap heat. You certainly can't knock his woman. I will not abide by that. He's got one of the all-time dimes on his piece and dime pieces on his side in Maurice. But The Miz can go into a town and get that town to boo him like a proper heel. Not one of those cool heels that everybody ended up wanting to cheer at the end. This guy, his job, ultimately, good guy goes over. It may not happen when you think it happens, but good guy goes over. My job is to put the good guy over. Get true, legitimate, bad guy heat. He is elite at that. True heat. You and I talk about this all the time. Bad guys are supposed to be booed. I'm a big believer in that. No one has been better in this era where it's really hard with social media and everyone knows you and people knew him before he got to the WWE. It is rare for this guy to be getting boos for that long in his career. Get people invested in his matches. The guy's taking care of his body. Say what you will about his in-ring skills. The matches still go. He's durable because of the style, and he's going to be able to have a career for maybe 5 more years if he wants. And also on top of that, anybody that's ever met him, as I've had the pleasure a couple of years in a row at Tahoe.
That's what it's all about, setting up the picture, by the way.
No, I got plenty of pictures. I didn't throw up a picture there with Cody Rhodes, even though I also consider him a pal. But Mike is as nice a guy as you can meet in that industry too, and not jaded by his success. He's a 2-time Grand Slam champion, won 2 WWE titles, one a lot more memorable than the second one where he's just a Money in the Bank transitional guy, but he beat John Cena in WrestleMania at the height of Cena's run. That is a huge achievement, and it's something that he talks about, rightfully so, for years on end. probably the thing he's most known for is the Talking Smack promo with Daniel
great.
Bryan, where I thought he acquitted himself quite nicely.
Great work shoot.
Great stuff there. Doesn't get enough credit. For me, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer and the greatest IC champion of all time.
I like the boldness. I can't, again, I can't really argue too much with you. I know my kids who are still in the kayfabe world, they hate The Miz. And it just bothers them that he sucks so bad in their words and he wins. So it's the classic move, classic bad guy. So, and they don't know anything about the real world. They don't know anything about any of that's history. They just see this guy and how he carries himself.
They haven't seen Rosacea Mike.
They have not. But he was famously a two-sport athlete with the wrestling and his performance on the challenge, which, by the way, shout out to Rachel Robinson, challenge winner this year. Shout out Miami Beach's own. Yeah, man, that show's produced a lot of successful people. Isn't like someone in the cabinet from the real world.
Yeah,
those guys. There's been a lot of people come out of there.
Seems to be going.
What happened to that guy from whatever that dude he was in?
Kyle Brandt. Kyle Brandt was
Kyle Brandt, real
world guy.
Whatever happened to the guy from
Kyle Brandt, the Good Morning Football.
Steve Martin also.
Right? Is that who it is?
Yeah, we were just talking about
he's on Real World.
We were just talking about Kyle. Are your eyes already on Etihad Halal?
God, I'm looking at that comment.
One man, one saying the honky tonk.
Honky Tonk Man, look, Honky Tonk Man could never go in the ring the way that Miz can go in the ring, and Miz is not a guy that's known to go. Honky Tonk Man had cheap heat. Cheap heat. Not I don't even know how he managed that run. Name a Honky Tonk match that you remember. It's the last one.
The Ultimore.
Yeah. It was and right then and there. I remember DDP drove him to the ring and he lost. It was squashed, and thank God his tyrannical reign as IC champion was over. It's not Honky Tonk Man.
Got a big question
Yeah,
for
Al
ESPN.
Ittihad and Al Hilal this Saturday, huge game, top tunes. As you know, I'm an Al Hilal man. Riyadh's blue. You know what? You know what though, Mike? Today's actually the 15th anniversary of Al Hilal, us winning the Saudi Crown Prince Cup against Al Ali. I
was thinking
remember
about
it
that.
was yesterday, man. It was a great victory in our club's
Congratulations.
history.
How's Mitro doing?
Great, man. Awesome. Still would be a top 5 striker in the Prem. So
I actually don't deny that.
Do they have a mascot, Al Hilal?
Well, we don't call them mascots
Or whatever. They have like an animal?
in a sense.
What's the animal?
I don't know if we can talk about this on air.
What? Now I really want to know.
We'll talk about it after the show.
All right.
Do we have any other?
Save it for the Saudi chat.
Do we have any other? Yeah, I'm back in that now. Do we have any other corporate sponsor partnerships that we have to work in the show?
No, I mean, we don't have any partnerships. We don't have any corporate sponsors. We do have a partner. We do have a friend. We do have a product we believe in, which is the Miami Hurricane Team Store, MiamiHTS.com. The Hurricane Team Store right across the street from University of Miami, next to the Thesis Hotel. 30% off kids' items. Get your kid geared up. We got Cam Ward, Restrepo. They just saw that happen, so they believe now. Lie to them. Tell them the Canes are always this fun to watch. Get them the jersey. Get them addicted for life. Get them the wardrobe. Then they can't back out later at the Miami Hurricane Team Store. 30% off children's item, the youth Cam Ward jersey, all that. Plus 20% off all items. Your first item, promo code Insight20.
There it is.
There it is. You can write it right in when you make your purchase at Miami Hurricane Team Store, Insight20. Or you just say when you go to the store, they already know Canes Insight, what it's all about. You got the LeFavor gear right there.
I like that sweater. That's really nice. Can I nitpick at something? And I love how active Juan Manuel has been in the chat.
The emojis are amazing, dude. Don't go after them. I'm going to protect him on that before you even go after him on it.
I am going to nitpick the emojis. It's redundant.
Honky Tonk Man, music emoji, and his guitar.
You just use the emoji. It's redundant. If you say guitar and you follow it up with a guitar emoji, the emoji is supposed to, in the name of efficiency.
You know when you type, like when you say movie, like the emoji comes up after it. So it's probably easy
so you just go back and you delete the word. Or no, what happens is as you start typing out the word, it gives you a prompt to just click the emoji. That's what I'm saying. Like Miz has a ninja emoji, turtle emoji. I get what you're talking about, pal. But now it's just like a word salad. Look, like you're doing it. Bad movie. You could just do like the camera and the popcorn. And I know what you're talking about,
okay,
pal.
The Princess Bride popcorn film.
You see what I'm talking about? This is a solid nitpick, I feel.
Well, when you read books, they have pictures and words. Is that redundant?
No, I guess not. But it's not. It's just emojis were invented, not like pictures and books were invented, not in the name of efficiency, but to give you a supplement.
Right.
I think emojis were made in the name of efficiency. So it goes against their purpose.
What about the emotion of the emoji? So when you read something like Mariah Carey, high music notes, makes a great thumbs up, car alarm. I'm reading that. I'm feeling, I'm hearing her high notes. I'm seeing the metaphor visually. I'm seeing alarms go off. I'm seeing it comes together beautifully when Juan Manuel breaks it down like he does.
A word salad. Like if we're gonna go emojis, lean into the emojis, pulling the heavy weight.
Julian Gallo says, "Sup, you guys know what's going on with Calvin Russell."
I don't know who that is.
I think we got a chance. His basketball season just ended to St. Brendan, so he will be focusing on recruiting.
7-on-7 season, right?
We need Juan Manuel to update the recruiting with some emojis.
Next week, you're gonna have a song, Pete?
Yes, I'll have a song.
And a wrestler?
Yes.
You're gonna do it? You're gonna join us? We could use that help because there's less
the
sports.
Wrestler, I don't know.
And it looks like the NCAA took your advice and didn't let the Miami Hurricanes get hot at this time.
Dude, we were getting hot and then it was put to a quick halt, man.
Yeah,
but we
they
go again this Saturday, man. Virginia Tech. You know, we're gonna take care of business. And I'm telling you, man, I am telling you, do not let this team win another game this year because I think that could be the start of something special.
They might not let him.
Mm-hmm.
They might not.
They heeded your warnings the last time.
True.
All right. What happens if I get into a car accident on my way home?
Oh, well, listen.
Who should I call?
If you have to ask this question, you obviously don't live in the city of Miami. You haven't experienced the Canes Inside podcast and heard the message. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys, 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life. If that happens, you need to take back control of your life. Your life's off the rails right now. Take back control of it with Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys.
How much time?
I was going to do that at the beginning before you prematurely popped in Pete.
Yeah, my life is off the rails a little bit. Thank God for Jake Gensel and the Kachuk brothers, and hopefully someone gives a stomach virus to Jake Sanderson so we can have Quinn Hughes in the lineup on Thursday.
Hold on, I got a question here. Juan Manuel Ventura here. He says, "How do I get your attention?" ? First of all, we've been using your messages for the last 30 minutes. People are tuned out at it. Although I got to say, viewership is actually at the high point of the show. But some people are probably tuned out. But we're still putting your messages on. And then in asking for attention,
he's not the most efficient guy. He's not the most efficient guy. It's what I've been telling you the whole show.
Where's the emoji? Can I get a hand up? Yeah. How do I get your attention? Hand up emoji. If you would have had the hand up emoji,
a great shout emoji that I like. That's like, how do I get your attention? That one. That's how you get my attention.
Or like the question mark. That's not the question mark. That's the default question mark. It's an extra red question mark.
Oh, I love that one. Yeah, I love that one. And I love the double exclamation point.
Yeah. All right. Good show.
Go back to work, Juan.
Clap it up.
Go Canes.
Riyadh is blue.
Riyadh's blue, and it will always be blue.
Vamos Madrid. A la Madrid.
A la Madrid. Later.